Music producers, your friend Curtis King is starting to get a little stale when it comes to the content. And when I feel that way, it's usually a benefit for you. You may not feel the same way, but I'm starting to feel that way. And today, that means that we're going to do something a little bit new. 10 of the most inspiring music producer or music-related movies that I could think of that have had a tremendous impact on my career. These are movies you're going to want to watch when you're feeling low and you're looking for some inspiration. I'm going to try to explain these without telling you the entire storyline, because when I get excited about a movie, I'll be wanting to tell too much. Not today. But first, let's run that intro. Let's talk about it. Okay, music producers, first and foremost, thank you for clicking on this video. If you find it to be likable, well then hit the like button. If this music producer content is something that you want to see more of, well then subscribe to the channel and hang out a little bit longer. That being said, one of my favorite music-related movies, one of the most inspiring movies to me, is Mo Better Blues, directed by Spike Lee. Now, I'm not going to do this whole breakdown for every one of these movies. I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit of a tidbit of what to expect, but this movie for me is just like eye candy. In terms of the way that the color grading, like I'm a movie buff. Like I love watching movies that just bring you to a certain time period and help you to understand what those characters were going through. This movie right here helps you to understand a 90s jazz band and the things that they were going through on the East Coast, dealing with some shady business, dealing with some culture politics. There's so many layers to this. There's so many amazing Spike Lee scenes too, where Denzel Washington is playing his trumpet. And it's something that if you're a fan of live music, if you're a fan of seeing how music has an emotional effect on people, man, you're gonna love this movie. Plus, you know what I'm saying? There's some real raw sex scenes in there too. I'm just playing. That's not why you do it. Next one, Hustle and Flow. This is not in any particular order, right? This wouldn't be at the top of my list, but I love the fact that it shows you elements of the recording process, and they actually got it right for once in Hollywood, right? As you're thinking about Terrence Howard being the artist, and you're thinking about Anthony Anderson, you're thinking about all the other folks that played sort of the studio engineers, they actually got this one right. They even got like some of the scenes where, you know, they got the cartons on the wall. They got, you know, how they're hearing certain frequencies from next door, and how when you living in certain neighborhoods, like you want to tell your neighbor to do something, and your neighbor might come out, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell you doing out in front of my house? Like, there's so many elements of it that, you know, maybe if it came out now, it'd probably get canceled because, you know, the main character is a rapper / pimp. So, you know, there's that. I think that it's a movie that as a producer on the come up, you see these type of movies and you realize like, yo, their story is not that unique. And there's something that is universal about your pursuit of music. Next one is a more recent one called Soul. Soul is just an amazing movie in general that really dives into sort of the afterlife, but then also dives into what our purpose is and whether or not having a purpose is more important than the actual gratitude we should have for living. It gets deep for a Disney movie. This movie, man, I love it so much because it represents folks that look like me, and they did it in a way where they didn't make the noses all extra ass big, and they even have a scene in there where they're talking about the flow state and sort of where we go spiritually when we tap into that flow state as musicians. I think as a music producer, you gotta have this on your list. The next one, Walk the Line. Walk the Line is sort of a semi-autobiographical movie about Johnny Cash. I love it so much because it tells you the nitty-gritty, the ugly of everything that Johnny Cash, well, just about everything I guess they could share on film, that Johnny Cash went through in his pursuit of stardom. One of my favorite scenes from here is when Johnny Cash is trying to pitch his songs or trying to pitch his music to a local label, and the label kind of sets out this scene that says, you know, before you play me what you getting ready to play me, what would you play me if your life depended on it? Now, they have a specific scene that they talk about. I don't want to ruin that for you, but that idea of play what you would play if your life depended on it and not if this could get you a deal. I love that scene. I love even the details that they went in when he spent his time in prison and how that inspired him to then want to do concerts in prison. Like, there's so many things that you're experiencing that I feel like even folks who were living in that time probably did not see, because now it's being documented in film. One of my favorite movies. Kind of in line with that is the movie Ray, which is the semi-autobiographical movie about about Ray Charles. The things that I like about it the most is just how authentic these stories were. I even like the scenes where it doesn't show the artist in the most perfect light. Ray Charles went through some shit and they did not sugarcoat it. I like the fact that they captured how the influence of his childhood and being blind in his childhood, how that ultimately affected his morals moving on, and how the church had an influence on his career, and how all of this sort of comes full circle as he begins to find his way to becoming a household name. The next movie, Get Rich or Die Tryin. This one might be controversial for some people, but I think at the time it was very inspiring. And matter of fact, there were parts of that movie that once again showed the recording process in a way that was like, man, it's so dope that they're capturing this for a mainstream audience. I think these are messages you generally see in independent films. To see it in a mainstream movie, it was something that was like, dope. They do see us, they do acknowledge us. Even seeing some of the dealings that he had with music producers, like that's something that for me, I go to these type of movies and I just watch and consume it. Yeah, some of the acting might have been a little bit questionable, but that's fine. At the end of the day, there's a storyline and there's a script that has been written out to really represent what it's like to go through the journey of the music industry, coming by the way of Jamaica Queens and 50 Cent. So one that's actually kind of in the same vein, 8 Mile. 8 Mile, I'm sure for a lot of white rappers out there, you was like, it's my damn movie. Why? Because you got represented on film. You was able to see a little bit of yourself on the film in terms of a rap movie, and it wasn't like, I don't know, Malibu's Most Wanted. That's not on this list, by the way. But 8 Mile, I think, was dope because, once again, it's a movie that showed you what is it like to be an artist on a come up coming out of Detroit. What is it like to be a white artist coming out of Detroit? Like, there's so many different layers. What is it like when you have things going on at home personally, and as an artist, it's your responsibility to turn that into a positivity through this art form of rap? I think it's an inspiring movie for producers, especially as you're seeing how some of these ideas are coming together, as you're seeing them going through his different stories that inspire these lyrics. Like, I just freaking love it just for that aspect. The next one, it's not necessarily a traditional movie, but it's more of a documentary. It's called Searching for Sugar Man. I don't care what kind of artist you are, what kind of producer you are, this movie needs to be in every list of top 10 inspiring movies, because this movie tells you the story of, let's just say it's the story of an artist that thought he didn't make it. A story of an artist that thought his music didn't resonate with the audience he was trying to reach, quit making music, went and did the regular 9-to-5, only to find out that his name was buzzing and blowing up in a country that he had never been in a continent that he had never been in. His music became sort of the soundtrack of a revolutionary war over in a whole nother country. The man had no idea. He was working a regular blue-collar job over in Detroit. He had no idea what was going on to these documentarians, I believe, took him to South Africa, and he went down to a stadium and saw that he had sold the stadium out. It was the first time they saw him live. He was blown away. That documentary gives me goosebumps even to talk about it. Beats, I believe it was a Netflix exclusive. Now, this one's gonna be controversial, just probably like Get Rich or Die Tryin', because folks had the same sort of qualms with that movie that they have with this movie, the acting. But I don't think that kills a movie. I think that if they're telling a story and they're playing their role, that's really all you could ask for. Anything else is kind of icing on the cake. That movie, to me, was the first time that you see a music producer in this modern age be represented and show his da in the background. I love the fact that it showed a producer that was dealing with this extreme like PTSD and anxiety. There's so many producers that can relate to it. So this actually went a step further than just show the producer making a beat. This went a step further and talked about the mental health of music producers on a level. And I'm looking back at my list and I think that's it. Oh, I forgot one last movie. This movie right here. When I tell you about this movie right here, Whiplash. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to give it away, but I think that you should watch that if you are an obsessed musician, obsessed music producer who all you think about is beats. You wake up, you be like, beats, beats. You go to sleep, you be like, beats, beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you at the dinner table and you looking at your food and all you can see is like waveforms made out of your broccoli. This is the kind of movie for you. This is about a obsessed drummer that meets an obsessed professor. A professor that puts him through tests that would break most individuals down. But this obsession led him to wanting to be one of the best drummers of all time. And when you see the journey of what he had to go through, all the issues that he had with the professor, all the tests and all the obstacles that got put in the way, this ain't your typical movie. Matter of fact, you may leave the ending of it feeling a little bit unsettled because of the nature and how he tried to become the best. This is not a movie for the faint at heart, but damn it if it ain't inspiring. I go to this movie all the damn time. Whenever whenever I feel like I'm in a place where I'm getting too comfortable or I'm getting in a place where I'm taking what I do for granted. Look, those are my 10 most inspiring music movies, and the reason why they were inspiring to me. Look, you might have a completely different list. I want to hear it. So don't come to me telling me about, you missed this movie, Curtis. No, I didn't miss your movie. That's your movie. Now make a list. Tell me what's your most inspiring movie, and then tell me why it's inspiring. And I think that it will be a great opportunity for us to borrow movies from one another's lists and then stay inspired in the process. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to stick around for more producer content, hit subscribe. Like I always say, in this life, you will not be full of life until you got a feel it shirt. I'm just playing. Until you live life to its absolute fullest. Once again, it's Curtis King of Curtis King TV. Have a good one. Peace.
Look up, Nazi. Say cheese.